Abigail, an unforgettable woman. Some people just pass through your life, but others change everything. That's exactly what happened to David when he met Abigail, special woman. This story unfolds after David lost his mentor Samuel. In 1 Samuel 25 verse 1, we see that Samuel died, and all Israel gathered and mourned for him, and they buried him at his home in Ramah. Then David got up and went down to the wilderness of Paran. In 1 Samuel 25 verse 2-3, we meet Nabal, a very wealthy man living in Maon who had businesses in Carmel. He owned 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. His wife, Abigail, was intelligent and beautiful, while he was rude and wicked. Nabal was a Calebite. There are different types of wealth: what you possess, what you do, what you know, and most importantly, who you are and what you believe in. Nabal was rich in possessions but poor in character. Abigail, on the other hand, was the opposite, beautiful and wise. During sheep shearing time, a season of generosity and feasts, David heard that Nabal was shearing his sheep. So he sent 10 young men to greet him in his name and ask for provisions. David instructed them to wish Nabal and his house peace and to ask for good treatment, as they had protected Nabal's shepherds in the desert. Will Nabal respond to David's generosity? And how will Abigail, this admirable woman, intervene in this story? Stay with us to find out the developments of this fascinating narrative. Imagine someone helping you when you need it most, and instead of receiving a thank you, they are treated with disdain. That's exactly what happened between David and Nabal. David and his men protected Nabal's flocks from attacks, real help in a time of constant Philistine invasions. Nabal was shearing his sheep, time of celebration and abundance. David waited for the right moment to ask for a favor, some provisions for him and his men. He sent 10 young men to speak with Nabal politely, wishing peace and reminding him of their service. David did not want to frighten Nabal or ask aggressively. He just wanted fair compensation. But Nabal responded rudely and disdainfully, asking who David was and why he should share his food and drink with him. Nabal knew who David was, famous throughout Israel, but chose to insult him on purpose, suggesting he was a disloyal servant running from his master. Nabal was selfish and stingy, believing everything he owned was exclusively his, without recognizing the generosity that should be part of his wealth. David, upon hearing the response, was furious. He ordered his men to prepare their weapons, taking about 400 of them, ready to attack Nabal. David, known for his bravery, was determined to retaliate, seeing Nabal's insult as an unacceptable challenge. Meanwhile, one of Nabal's servants told everything to Abigail, Nabal's wife, praising David and his men, saying they were always fair and protective. He alerted Abigail about the imminent danger, knowing David was on his way, prepared to destroy Nabal and his entire household. This story is about to take an unexpected turn. Nabal was so despicable and difficult to deal with that no one could talk to him. One of the servants, who witnessed Nabal's response to David's men, ran to tell Abigail, Nabal's wife. He said Nabal had insulted David's men, and by extension, David himself. They knew David would not let this go and asked Abigail to do something to protect everyone. Abigail acted quickly. She prepared 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 prepared sheep, 5 measures of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 fig cakes. Everything was loaded onto donkey. She instructed her servants to go ahead while she followed, without telling Nabal anything. On the way, she met David and his men. David was furious, feeling that all the effort to protect Nabal's property had been in vain. He planned to kill all the men in Nabal's household before dawn. Abigail, however, met him and quickly got off her donkey, kneeling before David. She asked him to listen to her words, and took the blame for what had happened, asking David to forgive Nabal's foolishness. Abigail explained she didn't know about David's men's request, but was now there to prevent unnecessary bloodshed. She reminded David of his mission and the future God had for him, asking him not to regret acting violently. Abigail was smart not to give the impression she was trying to bribe David. Instead, she offered the gifts to the men who accompanied him. David, touched by Abigail's wisdom and courage, blessed her and thanked her for preventing him from making a grave mistake. He accepted the gifts and decided not to attack Nabal and his household. This story shows how Abigail's intelligence and quick action saved lives and prevented a tragedy. David accepted what Abigail brought and told her, "Go home in peace. I have heard your words and granted your request." Abigail, with her courage and wisdom, prevented David from committing a great sin. He acknowledged that God spoke to him through her. David learned that hurt feelings do not justify disobedience. Even when others sin against us, it doesn't give us the right to sin back. David thanked God for Abigail reminding him of his destiny, to reign over Israel with justice. If he had killed Nabal and all the men in his household, it would have permanently stained his reputation among the Israelites and could have given Saul a legitimate reason to pursue him as a criminal. Abigail brought practical gifts, paying the debt Nabal owed David, and David recognized that nothing was pending anymore. He saw the blessing of being prevented from sinning. It's wonderful to be forgiven, but it's even more incredible to be prevented from sinning. When Abigail returned home, Nabal was having a party and was very drunk, so she told him nothing until the morning. The next morning, upon hearing what had happened, Nabal had a stroke and was paralyzed. 10 days later, God struck him and he died. Nabal lived as a fool, ignoring the imminent danger. Could have saved his life if he had acted differently. When David heard of Nabal's death, he thanked God for defending his cause and preventing him from retaliating with his own hands. Then he sent a marriage proposal to Abigail. She promptly accepted and became his wife. In this episode, we see several lessons. Abigail was direct and asked for David's forgiveness. She acted quickly and reminded David of the importance of maintaining an eternal perspective, seeing everything from a divine viewpoint. She also sought David's good, offering words of encouragement. Abigail teaches us the importance of acting wisely and courageously, especially in difficult situations. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel, share it with friends, and leave your like to help spread this content of faith to others. Thank you for staying until the end. See you next time.